What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we're going to be reviewing one of the best pistols I've had, the SIG P226 single action only Legion. Before I do that, I want to mention my patrons and supporters. Thank you guys very much. It's because of guys like you that I have guns like this on the channel. This pistol was actually donated by a patron supporter, so if you're a supporter of mine and you would like to allow me to review your firearm, all you gotta do is send me a direct message. I try to answer all the direct messages on Patreon I possibly can. I try to get to them all. Also want to mention Instagram, Honest Outlaw Reviews, and on top of that I want to mention a local homeless shelter. If you want to support the Patreon page or support the local homeless shelter, it is in the description below this video. All you gotta do is find the links there, click them. I'd really appreciate if you would go over there and support those kids. The link to the shelter is a youth shelter in Ames, Iowa. This is the P226 Legion. Now, this is a pistol that has been known throughout the last couple of decades at least. The 226 is a very popular pistol, made, I think, famous by the Navy SEALs choosing it as their sidearm for many years. They have since moved to something else. I believe it was the Glock, but there was some speculation about that because you can issue a firearm to a tier 1 operator, dare I use that word, and it's really up to them whether they use it or not, at least to my current knowledge. So whether they use the 226 or whether they use the Glock, I believe is really up to the individual. However, it is also known around the world for reliability and durability, which we'll get to here in a little bit. It has a fairly impressive track record, not only in military special forces use, but in lots of militaries around the world and lots of law enforcement agencies, and also competitive shooters and concealed carriers. The point I'm trying to make is it's been around for a while and it has earned its reputation. This particular version of the 226 is a little bit special, however. The Legion series has always been kind of the elite series of the SIG pistols, and the 226 is no exception. This has an upgraded coating, I believe. The single action only design on the trigger, as you can see here, it only fires when the hammer is cocked all the way back. It does not have a double action capability. The benefit to that is it's more of a 1911 style pistol where it has a perfect trigger pull all the time, and it has that big old awesome ambi safety. I have no problem with safeties on guns. A lot of people these days do. They grew up in the Glock age. I'm fine with that. I grew up with 1911s, so overall the safety doesn't bother me at all. It's just easily fannable when you pull it right out of the holster, the included holster, I might add. Before I get into the actual gun, I should say that it comes with a very nice case over here, and on top of that it comes with a holster, red dot mount, and 3 magazines and some cool SIG swag as well. The single action only design can be a detriment if you don't know how to use it properly. I like to use the safety as a gas pedal, so I'm always pressing it down so I never worry about having it accidentally on or off. And it doesn't have a grip safety like a 1911, so you don't have to worry about that bag of craziness. So overall, I think it's a really good design, and I think it's a really good design for accuracy and speed. Oh, we have a failure? Nope, just didn't lock on the last round. I just want to make sure it runs all types of ammo, so we're running a couple different types of ammo today. These high definition sights from SIG, and obviously the red dot with the included Romeo optic, I believe, which worked really well. So you have the high co-witness sights. In case you don't find the dot right away, you can run those bad boys, and they are high quality as well with a serrated rear, steel sights, alloy frame, and steel slide there with big old serrations on the front and rear, so it's very easy to run this slide because there's like a school bus on top of all SIG pistols, and this gun's no exception. It has a very high bore axis, higher than I believe is necessary, but this one rides a little bit lower because it's got the X5 cut underneath the trigger guard there, and it's got a higher cut beaver tail, so it feels really nice in your hand. On top of that, it's got very good texture on the cool looking G10 grips there. And it's got a little bit of serrations on the takedown lever, so believe it or not, you can't push down on it too much, but you can push into it and use that as a little bit of a recoil control device as well. It's got the full Picatinny rail there, serrations on the trigger guard, make it look very cool, and the awesome flat face trigger on top of the 25 lines per inch checkering on the front strap there, which makes the gun stick in your hand really well. Out of all the guns SIG has ever made, I gotta say this one's my favorite, no question. I like the X5 Legion quite a bit. I like the P210. I like the P365. I like the XL, but I gotta tell you, there's just something about this gun that makes me want to buy it. The SIG 226 has a 4.4 inch carbon steel barrel. This one's a 9mm, but they're also chambered in 357 SIG or 40. It's really up to you. I prefer a 9mm, but I can see the appeal of either of the other calibers, particularly 357 SIG, because that's very popular in the SIG community. And on top of that, I believe the Air Marshals carry a 357 SIG, so it's got a little bit of a cool factor as well. I said it comes with 315 round magazines, and the overall pistol weight, since it has an alloy frame, is about 34 ounces. I think that is an ideal weight for me. A lot of my favorite guns, including the Beretta 92, come in at a very similar weight with an alloy frame. I like the weight of it, just enough weight to handle the recoil of the gun very well, but not too much to where you notice it when you're carrying it on your hip. So a real good size for an all-around pistol. And that kind of brings us into what you would use it for. I mean, to be honest with you, the 226, one of the reasons why it's so popular is because of its size, weight, and overall use. I mean, you could use this for a competition gun. You could use this for a full-size duty gun. You could use this for a carry gun. I know lots of people who carry bigger and heavier guns than this. And you can use this for a competition gun. I would have no problem using this in a competition, particularly 3-gun. It would be really fun. One of the nice things about the removable grips that I want to touch on before we keep going, I've seen some people talking crap about removable grips on the internet lately. 320 frames are more modular and the back straps are cooler. I gotta tell you, man, there's a lot of modularity to removable grips. You can buy a lot of different grips, whether they be thin, medium, thick, super thick, whatever, and you can do all kinds of cool stuff to them as well, and you can get them engraved and all that fun stuff. So if you're looking at modularity, removable grips really do help you a great deal in the area of, let's say you have really small hands or really big hands. This can be a big benefit for you to get the appropriate grip to really fit you, because one of the nice things about guns like this is they do have kind of an iconic grip, particularly the 226, and it feels very nice in your hand. It also has the material removed here and kind of along the magazine release there, and the magazine release is serrated and easy to reach as well, making the gun just that much more comfortable. Now, as far as reliability goes, I sort of touched on it had a really good track record, and this pistol continued that track record. We shot a plethora of ammunition through this. We shot 115 grain Blazer, 115 grain Winchester White Box, 115 grain Fiocchi, and some Federal training ammunition, I believe. And on top of that, we actually shot some critical defense through it as well. So overall, I think that that was a good amount of ammunition to figure out that it's 100% reliable. We shot 1,000 rounds through it, no problems at all. Very impressive, but honestly expected. This has done saltwater tests, dirt tests, mud tests, and it usually is in the high percentile in almost all of those tests. So even with foreign material added in most of the other military tests and stuff like that, the 226 favored very well. So overall, one of the most reliable handguns you can buy. Now we'll get into accuracy, and I think this is where the Legion series shines, and even more so the single action only. So I'm going to show you this trigger here. We'll pop it back, and you can see that it is really, really nice. So there's a little bit of take up there, no big deal, just a little bit of slop, so it helps you decide whether or not you're going to pull the trigger or not. And then you have a super crisp, super clean, super short break. And overall, that's one of the better trigger pulls I've ever felt, on par with the Beretta 92X performance, and on par with the CZ Shadow 2 and the 1911-2011. So you can see there the reset is very short as well, allowing you those very fast follow-up shots. Now we moved her back to 100 here. Got to be careful not to shoot the old wife's lounge chair. She wouldn't like that. I gotta say, As far as SIG goes, I'm not the biggest SIG fan in the world, especially if they're new products like the 320, M17, M18. However, their old stuff like the P210 and the P226, especially the single action only, they're hard to beat, man. They really are. It's a couple things that go into speed when it comes to a handgun. One of those is going to be recoil, another one of those is going to be trigger, and the third one of those is going to be your ability to just get on the gun and get after it. So overall, I would give the speed category of the 226 Legion a couple of knocks, but overall really good. So the trigger allows you to go super quickly. The downside is the bore axis is really high, and it's got a light frame. So the alloy frame is really good for a lot of things, but for recoil reduction, it's not so much. Steel frame would add more weight, and that would help the recoil reduction. A polymer frame would add a little bit of flex, and that would help a little bit as well, whereas the alloy frame kind of does neither of those things. So add the high bore axis and the alloy frame, and you have a little bit more perceived recoil than you would expect. However, you can negate that. By good technique, number one, and two, by a lot of texture so you can stick to the gun and hold it in place with your muscles. And you can do that with this gun, helping with the gas pedal, safety, very textured grips, and very textured front strap and rear strap. So even though that you have a little more perceived recoil, you can overcome that. You have the tools here to overcome that, and that's why I was capable of shooting this gun fast, and my wife, not so much. So overall, I liked it a lot, and I could shoot it really quick, and I felt all the benefits of the lightweight gun while still maintaining the speed, although it did have a little bit more perceived recoil, because there's a difference between feeling the recoil and allowing it to slow you down. I mean, the damn thing just tracks so much faster than the P320. I just got done shooting the M18, which some could say would be like the future of this gun, considering that this gun's no longer in service and the M18 obviously is. I mean, maybe it's just me because I'm biased with steel frame guns and all that, but I really think it's a backstep. I mean, if I were to want a firearm for self-defense, I would want the fastest, most accurate version of that gun possible. So I'm definitely still in love with the speed, and I have no problem with it at all. And overall, the accuracy department is very excellent because you have the awesome sights and the awesome trigger. So again, I showed you the trigger, now I'm going to show you the sights. And on top of that, you have the red dot. So, I mean, I was hitting at 100 yards, no problem with this handgun, and it's right up there with the most accurate gun that we've ever had on the channel. I mean, it's in the top 10. So very fast, very accurate, and very reliable. We'll get into some ergonomics next, which we touched a little bit. The nice thing about the gun is it's got a lot of texture and it feels good in the hand. It does have a high bore axis, which does allow you a little bit more perceived recoil. However, the upside to a high bore axis, because there is an upside, is manipulating the slide. So if you ever were to have a malfunction, it's really easy to get a hold of this guy. And if you want to do a reload, or you want a slingshot, or you want to do a press check or anything like that, the slide is right there for you to get a hold of and manipulate very easily. As far as the controls go, I would like to see a little bit more of an extended magazine release, although this one does work really well. The safety works really well also, and it feels very blended and molded into the gun like it's meant to be there. A lot of times safeties are just kind of afterthoughts. Like you see them on a lot of polymer guns like the Taurus series and stuff like that, where you can tell they just stuck that bitch on there. Where this, you can tell it was made in mind. I mean, look how the grips fit perfectly with the safety. That's so awesome. I really like that. And a lot of guns, even really expensive guns, guns, you'll have an ambi safety, and that will pinch your hand when it comes down, right? I actually have my Atlas Hyperion will do that, which is pretty impressive considering that's like a $4,000 gun. Well, SIG figured that out by allowing the grips to get right in front of it, so no matter how high you push up on the gun, you can't pinch your hand in there, and I think that's pretty cool. Serrations are faced a little bit in reverse, so they help you get a hold of it. And on top of that, if you had to do a one-handed manipulation, not only do you have the red dot, but even if you didn't have the red dot, these sights are so high you could grab that as well. So overall, as far as tactical stuff, it's very functional for that also. Picatinny rail worked really nice. The front serrations are not only usable, but they look real good. On top of that, the PVD finish on the frame and the slide there is also excellent. The gray off the black has a real cool look to it, a real unique look to it without looking a little too tactical or looking a little weird. It has a real classic look to it, and I'm a big fan. After that, we'll get into aftermarket accessories, and I don't think you're going to need any. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, this gun comes out of the box exactly how I would set it up, aside from maybe the SIG Romeo. I'm not the biggest fan of the SIG Romeo sight. I'd like to see a Trijicana SRO on that guy. However, I'll take what I can get. And that coming right out of the box, that's still pretty cool. It has the sights, it's got the trigger, it's got the grips. I mean, there isn't really anything aside from probably some magazine base plates. I don't really like that it comes with 3 flush fit magazine base plates. It would have been cool if it had 1 flush fit and like 2 extended ones, but that's just me nitpicking to try to find something wrong with this gun. Overall though, I think you get a holster, you get the mags, you get all the little swag, you get the red dot, you get all the stuff. I don't think aftermarket accessories are really necessary unless you want to run maybe a competition style holster or maybe an inside the waistband holster. But other than that, I think you're pretty much good to go. Problems with the gun? Very few. 3 that I can think of. Number 1, the magazine base plates that I mentioned. Number 2, the high bore axis, which takes a little bit of getting used to if you're used to Glocks, because instead of your sights being about right there where the firing pin is, they're actually going to be about an inch up. So you're going to have to adjust the way that you present the gun. On top of that, it's going to give you a little more recoil, of course, or at least a little more muzzle flip. Let's go with that. But overall, it can be overcome by the excellent accessories to the frame.
Okay.
This thing's a goddamn laser beam.
Okay.
The biggest con of this gun is the price. It's not cheap, and like a lot of guns that come on the channel, I'm kind of a mix of budget mixed with performance, and if a gun performs really well, like this one does, I believe it's worth the price. However, the price is somewhere between $1,300 and $1,600 depending on where you find it, and I looked at those prices tonight, so that's what you're going to have to pay to get probably the best SIG on the market. I would argue that this is the best SIG ever made, honestly. Besides maybe the P365 series, but that's kind of in a different category of firearms. But overall, if I had to choose this or a 320X5, it's going to be this all day, every day. This is accurate, reliable, durable, huge track record, comes with all the accessories, don't have to change a thing, and on top of that, it's got that Navy SEAL coolness. So I got to admit, I'm a little bit of a fanboy for this gun, and if the person who sent me this would sell this to me, I would buy it in a heartbeat, but I don't think he's going to. I think a smart man would hold on to a firearm like this. I'm going to give it a solid 10 out of 10. However, you got to pay to get in the 10 out of the 10 club, and that price is very expensive. But if you have it and you're thinking about buying this gun, it's absolutely worth it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later. Well, I hit those poppers, but they're not going down because of the frangible ammo.
That's happened to me before.
See it shake? All right, so I kind of feel like a dipshit because when I said I kept shooting the one and it was moving back and forth and doesn't go down, that's because 2 of those poppers are stuck into the ground and they don't go down. So as many times as I hit it, doesn't much matter frangible or not, it's not going down.
Hardy har.
Hardy har. Plus in combat targets don't make noise when you hit them either. See it move a little bit though.
I hear it.
I think it's a killer gun. I'm thoroughly impressed. It's actually why I wanted to shoot it tonight. I was in a bad mood and I knew shooting a steel gun put me in a good mood.